Fit like a day, folks. It's Paul here. How are you doing? It's Burns night, or no Burns night. It's a few days before. This is the 22nd. We're doing our Burns night special, number 45, live for the lounge. Good to be here. Actually, it's a favourite time of the year. I would normally be at the Peterhead Burns Club Burns Supper. This would probably have been my 21st Burns Supper there, and it's one of these great shames about the lockdown, which is, I completely agree with and understand, but it's a shame that things like this that have been going for so long have had to be cancelled, because they're a great event, sense of community and bringing folk together. So it's actually, I think it's about the third or fourth oldest Burns club in the world. They've got something like a 15-year waiting list. So Peterhead, a great club. And then tomorrow, normally I would be heading down to Chester, to the Chester Caledonia Association. So tonight is marking up for missing both these things. And of course, got Shona.
Hello. We've done a couple of Burns things already this year.
We have, but sitting right here, of course.
Sitting right here. We've been in Boston. Virtually in Boston we was, and what else? I did a Burns night 20-minute spot for the Aberdeen Folk Club on Wednesday. And I also did a wee performance for a Burns thing for doing in Glasgow for a school. Yeah. And you recorded Tam O'Shanter as well. Yes, I did. Oh, Kirk. It was sub-zero temperature, so I went down to Tarlin Kirk in the evening. And I have to say, I didn't quite get laldy as I normally would, because, well, it was at night. It was after 8 o'clock at night in Tarland with nobody going about, and I thought I might have the bobbies turned up. So I toned it down a wee bit. So we'll maybe get laldy tonight. But so I hope you've got your haggis and your neeps and your tatties on the go. Aye. Yours is cooking. Well, it's cooked. But ready to roll. So what we're going to do is we're going to just get cracking. It'll be a normal night, fun and games. What's in the box? Hold on, here we go. What's in the box? 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 Fits in the box now. You're not going to learn a lot for that. I think I said last week, or one of the posts this week, it would be a Burns themed what's in the box this week. So pitch in your guesses. We've also got Fitsy-Fusky. What the hell's the drama this week? Again, unlikely you might get it, or you might, but I'm thinking I might have foxed you this week. I'm going to go and do my... And so what we're going to do is, we said last week, we'll start off with a haggis. So what I'm going to do is a way of welcome. I'm going to actually play a couple of Burns tunes, and then we'll get cracking, and we're going to go right into addressing the haggis. And I hope you've got your haggises hot on the pan. If you have, go and get them off while I play these first two tunes. I'm going to play two tunes, Burns songs, but he used a lot of fiddle tunes, so most of the tunes I'm playing are Burns songs, but they were fiddle tunes first. So I'm going to play Con Riggs for a start, and then we're going to follow that wee Blythe Hae I Been on Yon Hill. Oh, things in my wife.
There you go. So a couple of reels to get us going. I'm not going to do any bits and pieces yet until we've got this haggis ready. We've got the chef just turning up.
Yes, I've got a good few hellos. I'm not even halfway through them.
Can we leave him just now until I do this?
Oh, okay.
And then we'll get the haggis out the road.
Okay.
And then I'll let Roddy off the hook.
I'll catch up with all my stuff then.
So I'm sure a lot of you have been to Burn Suppers, but a lot of you probably haven't been. For the sake of what we're doing here, I'm not going to stand up, but normally you would stand up and clap your hands as the haggis was coming in, carried by the chef and piped in. That's a fairly typical kind of procedure for a burn supper. So, what you normally hear is a man's a man for all that. On cue, chef. If you could put this down here. Roderick's going to sit there while I recite this. And as you can see, he's been a busy boy here. Look at that haggis. It's a proper haggis with a skin, and it comes from Sheridan's in Ballatar. So it's a royally appointed haggis, this, I think you'll find. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the address to a haggis. Fair fat, your honest, sonsy face, great chieftain, o' the puddin' race, a bean am I, ye tak your place, pinch, tripe, or firm. Weel are ye worthy o' a grace, as long's my arm. The groaning trencher, there ye fill, your hurdies, like a distant hill, your pin would help to mend a mill in time of need. While through your pores the dews distill like amber bead. His knife, sae rustic, labour dicht, and cut you up wi' ready slicht, trenching your gushing entrails bricht, like on a ditch, and then oh, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, and rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal to the hinmost on they drive, till all their wheels swelled kites, but alive, I bent like drums. And then old Weedman mislike to arrive, bethunk it hums. Is there that our his French ragout, or olio twould start a sou, or fricassee twould make a spew, with perfect scunner, looks down with sneering scorn for view on sick a dinner. Peter Devil, as feckless as a withered rash, his spinel shank a goid whiplash, his niv a nit, through bloody flood or field to dash, oh, how unfit. But Mark, the rustic, haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, clapping his willy knave a blade, and he'll make it whistle, and arms and legs and heads he'll sned, like taps of thistles. Ye powers, for mark mankind their care, and dish them up their bill of fare. Old Scotland wants nae jouping, skinking ware that joups and lies. But if you wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. Thank you very much.
And there's a few folk asking if the chef's getting a dram.
No, but his father is, so there we go.
A lot of people saying well done, Roddy.
Yeah.
The Anderson's Kitchen sous chef, Roddy.
So Roderick, you're going to take a suit while I play it out, and you'll take a bit in the kitchen and you can help yourself if you want a bit. So thank you, Roddy.
Yep.
Haggis has departed to a brutal end where it gets ripped to bits by hungry Scotsmen. So anyway, there you go. Haggis is actually first mentioned in the 15th century in Scotland, so it's got a very long pedigree. That said, there are dishes very like it all over Europe and probably further afield. I'm not going to go through all the ingredients, but well, I will. It's Mutton would be the main thing with barley and oatmeal, spices, but then you've also got things like the heart, lungs, kidney, liver, that sort of stuff. The offal. I mean, it was the way that folk didn't waste a single morsel of it on an animal. You used the lot. One of them was edible, got eaten. So it was then put into a sheep's stomach, and the folk sometimes go, "Oh, a sheep's stomach," but well, with your sausages. Even now, you've got sausages that are in skins made of intestines. So it's perfectly alright in this. I think it tastes great. You put a wee bit of spice in it, and nobody can mark it, because certainly my granny used to mark them. Nae in a skin, but she would cook them up kind of louse, and just taste exactly like the butchers. When I said that you get them other places, I mean that the similar dishes were mentioned by Homer, the writer of the Iliad and Ulysses, or no, is it Odysseus? You kind of Siege of Troy, so it's going way back. Greek historian, father of history, so that's going well back. And actually, well, it's not last year now, but 1919, when I was out in Sweden, doing a wee tour with Peter Headland.
2019, no, 1919.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
You can't what I mean. 2 years ago, Peter prepared a Swedish dish called pulsa, and pulsa is, for all intents and purposes, basically just exactly like haggis. It's a bit wetter. It's a bit more like mince, I would say, in its consistency. So it's not quite as dry as haggis, but so there's a similar thing over the place, and I've heard them say that it was introduced to Scotland from France, which I'd be prepared to believe, but fast gearing to our national dish, and it tastes wonderful. So I'm going to play a set of tunes now. Hi, that's a good idea. Shona's going to come in and update you.
I have got a mega list, because we've got over 100 folk watching the night, which is brilliant.
20,000 folk, including what's it? Bernie Saunders is there, and Al Pacino. So we're in a good night.
Bernie Sanders is sitting with his mittens on,
sitting in the corner.
Okay, so a lot of hellos. Harry Lash is watching. Octavio D'Angel, Doreen, Melvin, and Callum Wood down in Glasgow. Lorelei Bach, one of our regulars in Pennsylvania. Leah Rosswell, another regular, and Ulla in Stockholm as well. Shirley and John Fuchs, Oren Skeen have got their haggis, they're tucking in. Kim Harris is in a snowy Nova Scotia watching us. Daria and Gordon Muir at the other side of Darland. Tommy and Sonia, Uncle Tommy's watching out in Huntly with Sonia, but they're here in India in the night and they're saving their haggis for later on.
You traitor.
Tracy and Eric Walker are watching for Calerley. Margaret Anthony for Virginia. Heather Morrison's joining us. Anne and Paul Oren Lumfanen, they've got their haggis. She sent me a picture. They're sitting gnashing into their haggis. Gordon Calder and Bonnie Whitney has had his haggis, and he's now sitting here in a pint.
He couldn't wait. He just couldn't have had it. So delicious. Couldn't have had back for it.
Katrina Lawson is watching in Methlick. Karen Fraser and Clan are joining us. Andrew Brandy is in Lawrence Kirk watching. Sandy Thompson in Dingwall, he says home of the famous Coburn's haggis. I've never had it, so I'll look forward to that.
Well, it sounds like it could be good. We'll have to try it sometime.
Yeah. Grace and Matt, my mum and dad in Huntly. Margaret Kerr in Australia. Sue Taylor in Orkney. She's here in fish and chips tonight. Thought you might have had a haggis supper. Maybe Sue.
Burns come from Orkney, it would be fish and chips he would be eating.
Yeah. Shona Robertson and Co doing in the Aberdeen Arms are joining us. Your mum and dad up the head of the hill. Ian and Norma Russell. Tracy and Hugh Adelsey, another couple of regulars. Ted Cramar doing in Northumberland. Francie and Anne in Hoth. Bruno Gougier from Dijon. Fiona and David Gardner in Tain. Malcolm and Pamela White in Mintlaw Station. Alistair McDougall is
actually Malcolm. I would be possibly sitting right beside Malcolm tonight, because he's one of the chaps that does stuff at the Peterhead Burns Club, Burns Supper in the Palace Hotel, and we have shared money, a top table, and he's a excellent reciter of Burns himself, including his epic Tam O'Shanter.
Great.
He may hear more about that later, maybe.
Isabel Lang is watching in Ardguy. Elizabeth McMillan in Ottawa. Frank Ribbons and Lorraine Oren Aboyne. Sally Day Butler's joining us. Morag and Robin Dempsey, Faye Doon in the Borders. Aya Akayama is watching from Japan.
Hey!
Jane Roberts is watching. Alan and Rona Taylor in Afford. Hey! Hey! You get out for that now. Joe and Pat Gary Muir and Alison McDonald from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hey, up to 49ers. So that was a long list this week. So I suspect if we did this on Monday, it would probably be very busy, because there's loads of big online burn suppers happening. So the fact that we do this on a Friday's maybe worked out. Folk and I got burn saturations. So nice to see you anyway. Now, as I said, I was going to play a medley of tunes. First thing's called Wha the Earth's the Wind Can Blah, and that's followed by Lazy Lindsay, Duncan Davidson, and then My Love She's But a Lassie Yet. And the first thing actually is a tune by William Marshall, the fiddle composer. It was originally a slow strathspey called Lady Admiral Gordon. And I think she'd been in Banff for Bucky or something like that in her real life. Not that you're probably very interested about her, but anyway, Burns, like an awful lot of his songs, he set his lyrics to other folks' music. He never wrote a single melody that I'm aware of. Somebody might come up with something, but I've never heard anybody say he wrote anything. But he had a great ear for matching up lyrics with music. So anyway, here we go.
Can
some
I come in?
notifications.
I've got some notifications. So, hello to Dougie Hay. He's joining us tonight. Liz and Roger Court down in Lincolnshire. Malcolm and Mary Duff are watching. Bruce Robertson Smith for Hell's Kitchen, New York's joining
Bruce,
us.
how you doing? Bruce can play the fiddle while doing the tightrope. I met him at Spayfest. Well, I think it might be the first year of Spayfest. Sorry, I just popped into my head. It's amazing to see. Bruce is a great guy. That's all I'm going to say about him because I'd be telling tales. But I really like Bruce. He's a top row of bloke. I've been trying to persuade him to emigrate while Trump was in power. I think he was getting depressed, but he's never come yet. But we'll see him one of these days, hopefully.
Rona and Charlie doing in the village are watching. Elaine and George Mitchell watching the night. I'm presuming Elaine's in the back of Benners and George is in Aberdeen. Kate and Jim Figarlogie, they're saving their haggis for another night because they're here in a Zoom with their daughter and their grandsons who buy just outside Newcastle. So they're here in the rain and Abdi's got to do a party piece. And Catherine McLaughlin is joining us for the Portamenteith and she's here in Simon Howie Huggis later on.
Oh, well, it should be good. I mean, it should be good, Simon. So,
what's in the box? 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 What's in the box?
Fits in the box.
Right, Daria Muir thinks a mini bust of Robert Burns. Andrew Brandy thinks a Robert Burns fridge magnet. Hugh Adelsey thinks an alabaster bust of the Bard. Alan Taylor thinks a tatty, as does Sandy Thompson. Great minds think alike.
I think it's the dull thud at which the sound of the box is emanating.
Uncle Tommy thinks a sleek wee moosey, as does Hugh Adelsey, and Catherine McLaughlin thinks something cardboard. Katrina Lawson thinks a mouse as well, and Elizabeth McMillan thinks a neep.
Okay.
The whiskey. Do you want to hold it up? It's okay, so Harry Lash thinks Robert Burns whiskey or Isle of Arran.
It's kind of citrus and floral notes coming through there, folks.
Okay, it's whiskey. Alan Taylor thinks Arran. Uncle Tony thinks Lagavulin. Sandy Thompson thinks Cutty Sark, which would be a good one.
Yeah, I can see why you're going with that.
Catherine McLaughlin thinks Talisker.
Well, you're all wrong, folks. I don't think anybody's going to get this tonight, but there you go. Right, I'm going to play two tunes just to finish this spot, and then we're back again obviously later. But this first tune's a special request, and this is for a pal for Peterhead. Now, I would have been dining with him the night at some point, or at the very least maybe in the same table, but we would have probably had a drama and news at some point. But this is for Jake up at the Peterhead Burns Club, and he requested, he got in touch and he asked if it would do A Fond Kiss, or he asked if Shona would do it, but she's not doing it because she's done it, she thought maybe 3 times.
I think
over
2
the
or 3
last
times.
year.
Again, it's a favourite of George Mitchell's.
2 or 3 times. So I'm going to play it in the fiddle. I wasn't going to do it, but I'll do it for just for you, Jake. And then we'll finish with whatever comes into my head, but it might be a waltz. So we'll see. So that was after A Phone Kiss was Car the Yows and then You Banks and Braes. A Phone Kiss, actually, Burns wrote that for his Clorinda, who was Nancy Mucklehose. I think that they were genuinely in love, but there was nothing physical ever happened. They communicated through letters and they gave each other pen names. So Burns was Sylvander and Nancy was Clorinda. And he ended up hating to leave her. Trouble was, she was married. You see, that was a bit of a spanner in Burns's works. And she was part of the reason he thought about emigrating to the Caribbean, actually be an overseer on a plantation, which he thought better and changed his mind, which is a good thing, I think, for his reputation. But there you go. So anyway, there we have it. There's a few Burns tunes. Find about some songs.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shona Donaldson.
I'm gonna do you have the notifications just now and that?
Oh, okay.
Right, so Paul, can I maybe move this table out the road? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just now?
Yeah, that's
just
fine.
Put it there just now. Can you maybe put that stuff up on there? So we have got Jeremy Kingsbury.
We've got Germany.
No, my mood's nae working the day. Jeremy Kingsbury is joining us for Iowa. Mike and Sarah Brown are watching in a Boyne. Drew Edmiston is from Edmonton, Alberta. He's watching. Bonnie is joining us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Susan Hurst from Oklahoma. It's also Susan's birthday weekend as well. But also it was Shona Robertson's birthday this week as well, from the Aberdeen Arms. So let's sing happy birthday to Shona and Susan. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Shona and Susan. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Happy birthday. And Steve Brady is watching from Cheshire. I'll give you that bit of paper. We've had quite a lot of guesses for the box and the whiskies. So Isabel Lane thinks a sugar mouse in the box. Shirley Fuchs thinks a pin to mend a mill, which is a good guess. Sandy White thinks a bit of peat. Nicola Mitchell a reed rose. Andrew Brandy thinks a tatty. Margaret Anthony thinks a rose as well. Ian Russell thinks a Burns medal from Paul's youth. Jim Taylor thinks the cork for the bottle of whiskey. Kim Harris thinks a wee belt buckle. Rona thinks there's a box in the box. Jamie Bowers thinks a neep, as does Jack Taylor. And Alison McDonald thinks a Robert Burns paperweight. And the whiskey, I'm going to hud it up. It smells quite nice.
Yeah,
is it?
That's what I said. Floral and fruity notes.
Okay.
Tropical fruity notes, I would say.
Okay, so Sarah Brown thinks it might be Jura. Bruno thinks Glenfiddich. Sandy White Glenkeith. Isabel Lang thinks it might be Sheepdip. Jack Taylor thinks Damandool. Shirley thinks Timorous Beastie. Sandy Dobson thinks Glenmorangie. I prefer it to Cointreau, which I find too.
Orangey.
Joe Aitken thinks Fetter Cairn and Catherine Brown thinks Glenfarclas. Okie dokie. So I'm gonna do an extra song tonight. I usually only do 4, but you're getting 5 from me because I couldn't decide fit to do, because there's actually just so many Burns songs that you could do. They're all brilliant, so I thought I would do one extra. And if you were part of the Aberdeen Folk Club one, I'm really sorry, but you're hearing the same ones again. Well, no, you're getting an extra one, and the same with the Boston lot. I'm just gonna grab my fiddle and get the starting notes. Yeah, you might want to move. Okay. So I'm gonna sing a song which was first printed in Burns's Kilmarnock edition in 1786, and it's a song called Composed in August, or it's kind of better kent as Westland Winds. So I'll give this a bash. Now Westland winds and slaughtering guns, but in autumn's pleasant weather, the moorcock springs on whirring wings among the blooming heather. Now waving green white o'er the plain, charmer. The petroglyphs, the fruitful fells, the pulliver loos, the mountains, the woodcock haunts the lanely dells, and the soaring hen, the fountains. Through lofty groves, the cushat roves, and the path of man to Shannet. The hazel bush o'erhangs the thrush, the spreading thorn, the linnet. Thus every kind their pleasure find, the savage and the tender. Some social join and leagues combine, some solitary wander. Avant away the cruel sway, tyrannic man's dominion. The sportsman's joy, the murdering cry, the fluttering gory pinion. But Peggy dear, the evening's clear, thick flies the skimming swallow. The sky is blue, the fields in view all fading, green and yellow. Come, let us stray our gladsome way and view the charms of nature. The rustling corn, the fruited thorn, and ilka happy creature will gently walk and sweetly talk, while the silent moon shines clearly. I'll clasp thy waist and fondly pressed, swear how I love thee dearly. Not vernal showers to budding flowers, not autumn to the farmer, so dear can be as thou to me, my fair, my lovely charmer. There we go.
Bonny song.
It's a beautiful song, actually. I love the tune for it as well. So Westland Winds. Gonna do a chorusy one. Have you got any notifications?
Alison McDonald from San Francisco Bay Area says McMyra for a whiskey. I've never heard of that. I'm not sure what that is, but nope. Dougie Hay thinks it's Arran. Rona from up in Tarland thinks it's Aberlour.
Okay.
We had a hello for Jean Hurdle, who's
Jean.
in San Antonio in Texas.
Oh, cool.
And I did an album with her.
You did?
Husband and I. A few years ago. Andrew Brandy thinks it's 26-year-old Macallan.
Very
George
specific.
and Mary Patson are saving their haggis for Monday.
Quite right.
And Gillian Needham thinks it's a mini haggis in the box, and the whiskey is Achentoshan.
Well, I just saw that John Fuchs thinks it's Achentoshan, and in the box is an ear tag for haggis, and Fiona Gardner thinks Ben Bracken. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to do a chorusy song. I think I've done this one in Live from the Lounge before, actually. But I'm sure you'll ken it. You'll hate to join in. Get up and heuch about your living rooms or your kitchens, wherever you are. So this is actually an old street song from the mid-1770s, which Burns adapted to a Jacobite theme. As you might well know, Burns collected a lot of songs. In fact, I think he spent more of his life collecting folk songs than he did actually writing. So this is one that he adapted. So this is Charlie, He's My Darling. 'Twas on a Monday morning, recht early in the year, Charlie came Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie's my darling, the young chevalier. As he was walking up the street, the city for to view, oh, there he spied a bonny lass, the windy looking through. And Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie's my darling, the young chevalier. Sae licht he's jumped up the stairs and tattled at the pen, and was ready as hersel to let the laddie in. And Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie's my darling, the young chevalier. He set his Jenny on his knee, all in his Highland dress, for brawly weel he kent the why to please a bonny lass. And Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie's my darling, the young chevalier. It's up yon heathery mountains and down yon scroggy glen, we darna gang a milking for Charlie and all his men. And Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie's my darling, the young chevalier. And Charlie's my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young chevalier. Whoa! Charlie's my darling. Remember the boys used to sing The Young Chandelier?
Yeah, J&D Roberts said exactly the same thing. But one or two things come in, it's trying to keep it dope on. Yep. But Ben and Danielle Lumsden from Melbourne are saying hello.
Oh, hello, Lumsden family.
Possibly having haggis for breakfast. We were there. Frank Ribbons, he thinks Rob Roy whiskey, Tesco best, I think. And he also thinks it could be a garter or a kilt pin in the box. Is it Oddly Gwen for Gather Shields says hello.
Hello.
Really enjoying it. And Anne Wyatt thinks, is it Dallaruan?
Okay, I think that was Paul's guess, wasn't it?
Was it? Okay.
I think so. And Dougie Hay thinks maybe a doll thud in the box, and maybe a bit of neep hook it off. A doll thud. So I'm gonna sing one more song. This is a song. Sorry, Paul. That I did say I was doing.
Yeah. Okay. You're on again. I thought you would do that.
No, I'm gonna sing one more just now. This is a song that Paul's been on it missing for a while and hinna deen it. And I can't believe we've actually gotten to 45 and I hinna deen it. This is a song called The Highland Widow's Lament, and it was probably one of the very first Scots songs that I ever sang in public, actually. I can remember when I was in third year at school, so maybe about 15 year old, I entered the Gordon School's music competition and I came third place for singing The Highland Widow's Lament. So, I don't know why I don't really sing it more. I know it's one of your favourites, Paul.
Well, it is you singing it.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Nobody else, just me. I was really lucky. I was just thinking back, kind of one of the last gigs that I had before we locked down last year. I was really lucky enough to sing in the concert hall in Glasgow with the Scottish Symphony Orchestra for a Burns celebration as part of Celtic Connections. And this is one of the songs that I sang for that. And I must say it was quite something singing it with a full orchestra behind you, but I'm just going to hate to be Dean myself tonight, I'm afraid.
I was in Peterhead.
Paul was in Peterhead, so he couldn't come. But it's alright, I'll let him off. So this is The Highland Widow's Lament, and again it's a song, a Jacobite song, I suppose, from a woman's point of view, which Burns actually wrote a lot from the female perspective. So I'm going to sing this one. Oh, I am come to the low country, with a penny in my purse to buy a meal to me. It was no say in the Highland hills, no in this world wide, sae happy was as me. For there I had a score o' kye, o chon, o chree, feed on yon hill sae high, and gie and milk to me. For there I had 30 o ewes, o chon, o chree, skipping on yon bonny nose, and casting wood to me. I was the happiest o' all the clan, sair me airy pine, for Donald was the bravest man, and Donald he was mine, till Charlie Stewart come at last, sae far to set us free. My Donald's errand was needed then for Scotland and for me. Their way fu fate, what need I tell? Right to the Roundhead yield, my Donald and his country fell upon Culloden field. O chon, o Donald, o chon, o chree, nae woman in this world wide, sae wretched now as me. That was quite high. I didn't realise how high that was going to be.
One of my favourites.
Good. Okay. Right. I'll put you back on to Paul then.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
We'll swap.
We'll be a swappy. Okay. And you go.
Right. Okay. Now you might think it's a bit much. Look at him. He's got a pint and he's got a dram, but this is actually a prop.
Nobody can see you.
This is a prop. Look. Here's the glass and here is the pint. I'm just realising what's happened here. This phone's back to front for normal. I think there's something looking in the wrong corner. I'll give you that. Thanks.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. I was wondering why I kept looking off the side of the camera. Right. See that? Look at that now. Only problem is, it's not quite the right kind of bonnet. This is a Balmoral. And it should be blue, but it's going to serve a useful purpose, because I'm going to let it Tam O'Shanter. A Tale. Robert Burns's, probably his most famous poem actually. It's one he wrote kind of late in life, and he was actually really rather sick. And I think he was drawn upon folk tales and ghosty stories he heard as a youngster. He used to hear a lot of tales to keep the kids occupied when they were younger. In Scotland, it's like, I suppose every country's loads of folklore and history and tales of ghosts and ghouls and goblins and fairy folk and all that sort of thing. So Scotland's got lots of that, and so Burns' mind was obviously filled with all this when he wrote Tam O'Shanter. And I'm just going to recite it. Here we go. As Chapman Billies leave the street and drouthy neighbours meet, when market days are wearing late and folk begin to tak the gate, as we sit boozing at the nappy and getting fou and unca happy, we think na in the lang Scots miles, the mosses, waters, slaps and stiles that lie atween us in our hame, for sits Poor sulky sullen dame, gathering her brows like gathering storms, and nursing her wrath to keep it warm. This truth fund honest Thomas Shanter, as he for e'er a nichted canter, all day when near a town surpasses for honest men and bonny lasses. Ah, Tom, hadst thou but been so wise, and ta'en thy ain wife Kate's advice, she tilt the wheel, thou was a skellum, a blithering, blustering, drunken blellum, that fae November till October, a market night, thou wasna sober. That ilky melder wi' the miller thou drank as long as thou had siller, that ilky neg was caught a shoe on, the smith and thee got a roaring foo on. That in the Lord's house even on Sunday thou drank wi' Captain Jane till Monday. She prophesied that late or soon thou would be found deep drowned in Doon, or catched be warlocks in the mac by Alloway's old haunted kirk. Ah, the gentle dames, it gars me greet to think how many counsels sweet, how many lengthened sage advices the husband for the wife despises. But to my tale. A market night Tom had got plunted onca recht fast by an angle, blazing finely, with Raymond Swats that drank divinely. At his elbow, Suitor Johnny, his ancient, trusty, drouthy crony. Tom lood him like a very brother. They had been fou for weeks together. The night drave on with songs and clatter, and aye, the ale was getting better. The landlady and Tom grew gracious, with favours secret, sweet and precious. The suitor told his queerest stories, the landlord's laugh was ready chorus, the storm without could rear and rustle, Tom didn't mind the storm a whistle. Care, mad to see a man so happy, he drowned himself among the nappy. His bees flew hame with laids of treasure, the minutes winged their way with pleasure. Kings might be blessed, but Tom was glorious, o'er a' the ills of life victorious. But pleasures are like the poppy's spread, you seize the flower, its bloom is shed, or like the snowfall in the river, a moment white, then melts forever. Or like the borealis race that flit, or you can point its place, or like the rainbow's lovely form, evanishing amidst the storm. Nae man can tether time nor tide. The hour approaches, Tam and ride. That hour o' nicht's black arch, this keystone, that dreary hour he mounts his beast in sick a nicht he taks the road in. His napier sinner was abroad in. The wind blew as 'twould blaw its last, the rattling showers rose on the blast, the speedy gleams the darkness swallowed, loud, deep and long the thunder bellowed. That night a child might understand, the deal had business on his hand. Wheel mounted on his grey mare Meg, a bitter never lifted leg, Tom skelpit on through dub and mire, despising wind and rain and fire, whiles holding fast his gweed blue bonnet, whiles crooning o'er some old Scots sonnet, and whiles glowering round with prudent care. Lest bogles catch him unawares, Kirk Alloway was drawing nigh, where guests and hoolets nightly cry. By now Tom had crossed the ford, where in the snaw the chapman smored, and past the bicks and Mucklestein for drunken Charlie Bracksneck been, and through the whins and near the cairn for hunters found the murdered bairn, and near the thorn ha been the well, for Mungo's mither hanged hersel. Before him Doon pours his floods, the doubling storm roars through the woods, the lightnings flash from pole to pole, the near and more near the thunders roll, when glimmering through the groaning trees Kirk Alloway seemed in a blaze. Through ilka boar the beam flames were glancing, and loud resounded mirth and dancing. Inspiring, bold John Barleycorn, what dangers thou canst make us scorn, with tuppenny bit, with fear nae evil, with Yuskaba would face the devil, the swats arraigned in Tammy's noddle, fair play, he cared a deal a boddle. But Muggy stood, richt fair astonished, till by the hand and heel admonished, she ventured forward on a licht, and wow, Tam saw an unkesicht. Warlocks and witches in a dance, nae cotillions, brent new fae France, but hornpipes, jigs, strathspeys and reels put life and metal in their heels. A winnock bunker in the east, and there sat Auld Nick in shape a beast, a towsy tyke, black, grim and large, to gie them music was his charge, and he screwed the pipes and guard them skirl, till roof and rafter a did dirl. Coffins stood round like open presses, which showed the deed in their last dresses, and which by some devilish cantrip slicht, each in his carl hand held a licht, by which heroic Tam was able to note upon the holy table. A murderer's beans and gibbet irons, twa span lang wee unchristent bairns, a thief new cutted for the rape, with his last gasp his gab did gape. 5 tomahawks wi' blood red rusted, 5 scimitars wi' murder crusted, a garter that a babe had strangled, a knife a feather's throat had mangled, his ain son o' life bereft, the grey hairs yet stuck to the heft. Wi' mair o' baith horrible enough, of which even to tell would be unlawfu'. Now, as Tammy glowered, amazed and curious, the mirth and fun grew fast and furious. The piper loud and louder blew, the dancers quick and quicker flew, they reeled, they set, they crossed, they clickit, till ilka carlin swat and reekit, and cushed their duddies to the work, and linkit at in her sark. Now, had they been queens, plump and strapping in their teens, their sarks, instead of creashy flannin, been snaw white 1700 linen. The bricks of mine, my only pair, that aints were plush, a gweed blue hair, I would ha' given him off my birdies, my hurdies, for a blink of the bonny birdies. But withered beldams, auld and droll, ring woody hogs twould speen a foal, a louping and flinging on a crummock, it's a wonder it didn't turn thy stomach. But Tommy kent what was what fu brawly, there was a winsome wench and Wally, that nicht enlisted in the corps, long after Kent on Carrick shore, for mony a beast to deed she shot, and perished mony a bonny boat, and shook baith mickle corn and bear, and kept the countryside in fear. Her cutty sark, o paisley harm, that while a lassie she had worn, in longitude, though sorely scanty, it was her best, and she was vaunty. Aye, little kent thy reverend granny, the sark she cuffed for her wee nanny, with £12 Scots, was a' her riches, would ever grace a dance of witches. But here my muse her wing mun cower, sick flights are far beyond her power, to sing how Nanny, lap and flang, she was a supple jade and strong, and how Tam stood like een bewitched, and thought his very een enriched. Even Satan glowered and fodged fu fain, and hodged and blew wi' might and main, till first they caper, sign another, Tam tint his raising a' together and shouts out, "Well done, cutty sark!" And in an instant all was dark, and scarcely hadn't Tam Muggy rallied, fin out the hellish legion sallied, as bees bizz out wi' angry fyke, when plundering herds assail their bike, as open pussies mortal foes, when pop she starts before their nose, as eager runs the market crowd, when catch the thief resounds aloud. So Maggie runs, the witches follow, wi' money and eldritch screech and hollow. Ah, Tam, now they'll get thy faring, and hell they'll roast you like a herring. In vain thy Kate awaits thy coming, Kate soon will be a wofa woman. Now, do thy speedy utmost, Meg, and win the keystone of the brig. There at them thy tail may toss, a running stream the dare and the cross. But ere the keystone she could make, and faint the tail she had to shake, for Nanny, far before the rest, hard on noble Maggie pressed, and she flew at Tom with furious ettle. But little was she Maggie's mettle. Ae spring brought off her mester hail, but left ahin her ain grey tail. The carlin clutched her by the rump, and left poor Maggie scarce a stump. Now, wham this tale of truth may read, each man and mother's son took heed. If to drink ye are inclined, or cutty sacks run in your mind, think ye may buy the joys our dear. Remember, Tam O'Shanter's mare. Ta-da!
That was an epic.
That wasn't too bad.
That was an epic.
I've more or less got through it. So, well, I'm going to take a drum now. Look at that.
I was just going to come in and show you. Laura Lai, one of our regulars, sent me a photo yesterday. She's all dressed up for tonight. I don't know if you can see her. There she goes. She's got her tartan on and everything.
Laura Lai.
Laura Lai. And I might show another one later on if my phone's charged up enough.
Good. Right. Time for a couple of more songs. After that, I need to go and rest my weary brow.
Joe Aitken says he's never heard it better.
I didn't believe you. It's alright. Okay, I'm making an alright job, but I mean, there's definitely, you hear lots of different kind of ways of doing it. You sometimes hear folk that just rattle through it in monotone, like when Jumping Billy's Leave the Street and Ruthie Neighbours Meet. The whole thing like that, which it is impressive to hear somebody do it off the top of their head, but you kind of need to try and tell the story. I mean, the guy I heard that really influenced how I tried to do it was a boy for the Chester Caledonian Society, Don Duncan, and he used to teach folk how to do public speaking, and he was one of the best. He had it down to a fine art, and you can Chester Caledonian. There was a lot of Scottish lads, a lot of boys from the northeast, but let's face it, the biggest percentage were Englishmen from Cheshire, and there was a few Welsh boys obviously, but you can, Don had Abdi absolutely drawn into the story despite the dialect, the language being in Scots, and a lot of it going out of their heads. He was such a good storyteller that he had Abdi in the palm of his hand at the end, and I do not tell a lie when I would say he would get a standing ovation every single time he did it. So Don Duncan was the man. There you go. Right, Shona, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Oh, I don't know how you mind all that, Paul.
Yeah, body-minded perseverance.
For the past couple of weeks you've been going out for walks. Well, you go walking anyway, but he's been running it in his head. So I've got a couple of hellos. Paige Graham in Nova Scotia is joining us. Hello, Paige. And Graham and Jill Bruce for Darland. Hello, both. So, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Ian Murray thinks a Cairn Gorm. Liz Court thinks a small quaich. And Gordon Muir thinks the keystone of the brig. That's clever, but it's wrong. Sorry, Gordon. So, Fitzafusky. I'll head it up and let Abdi see it. Fitzafusky. Ian Russell thinks Glen Glassach. Odd thinks Tesco's offer. Ian Murray thinks Balvini. Frank Ribbons Tobermory. Anne Reardon thinks Macallan's 60-year-old.
I took my league price-wise.
Even if we're still going out gigging, it's still out of price tag. And Graham Bruce thinks Fetter Cairn because of the connection with Burns' father, which is clever, but it's wrong. Sorry, folks.
Sorry, disappointing.
Just telling it as it is. Right, I'm going to sing. Oh, Paul, can you maybe pass up that wee bit that's doing there? thanking you. So, I'm going to sing a couple of songs just now. This first one is a song called The Slaves Lament. Can't even mind where I first heard this, actually. I've kent it for a long, long time. Someone's rattling in a wood-burning stove. I don't think it is. Do you think it's a bird?
No, I don't think it can be.
Maybe it's just a bit windy.
They wouldn't do that to me unless it's a big hoodie crow.
Or maybe it's an owl. Maybe it's a hullet. Anyway, so I can't mind where I first heard this. I've got a feeling it might have been Isla St Clair, actually. So I'm going to sing this one. Actually, there was a story that Burns actually never put his name to this, but it was in his manuscript, I think, so folk assume that he wrote it. And there is a story that when he was in Edinburgh, he overheard the tune coming off of a slave ship, and then he wrote words to it. I don't know if that's right or no, it's a nice story. But actually, Scotland, anti-slavery groups were actually really, really strong in Scotland in the 18th century. At Burns's time, I think there was over 60 anti-slavery societies in Scotland. So,
on the other side of the coin, half the buildings in the merchant city in Glasgow were built on
the slave trade.
Well, tobacco,
and merchants.
Sugar, but off the back of slaves.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Slaves Lament. It was in sweet Senegal that my foes did me enthrall, for the lands of Virginia, oh, torn from that lovely shore, and must never see it more. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh, torn from that lovely shore, and must never see it more. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. All on that charming coast is no bitter snow and frost like the lands of Virginia, oh. Their streams forever flow, and their flowers forever blow. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. Their streams forever flow, and the flowers forever blow. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. This burden I must bear, while the cruel scourge I fear, in the lands of Virginia, oh. And I think on friends most dear, with a bitter, bitter tear. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. And I think on friends most dear, with a bitter, bitter tear. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. It was in sweet Senegal that my foes did me enthrall, for the lands of Virginia, oh, torn from that lovely shore, and must never see it more. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh, torn from that lovely shore, and must never see it more. Slaves Lament.
Beautiful. Look at a joke with that.
Oh, thank you. It's a kicker of a tune, like.
It is. I've had a couple of...
Sorry, I'm just...
box guesses.
Oh yeah, what's in the box? What's in the box? What's
Sandy
in the
White
box?
thinks it's a shot glass. Rosie Robertson up in the Aberdeen Arms thinks it's possibly the least favourite chocolate for the selection box.
Aye, like we've still got that mid-January. That's I'll be netting for ages, Rosie.
And on a similar sort of tone, Joe Aitken thinks the whiskey is old Pulteney for last week, and Tommy Webster thinks it's leftover whiskey. And I just... What's that? Like,
what's left over?
Whiskey?
What's left over chocolate and leftover whiskey? No idea. I'm going to do one more set just now. This is a set of 3 Burn songs. I think I've done this in Live in the Lounge before. Oh, sorry, I've got a right snockery nose. And I've got no hunkies either. It's alright, fine. So this is a song... Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just going to... That's quite rude. Sorry, I'm giving you back my snockery hanky, Paul. I'm going to do 3 Wee Burn songs. The first song is called Rattlin' Roarin' Willie, and it was a traditional song, and Burns put the second verse to it. And then there's another song after that called Robin Shurin Hurst. And then to finish off, it's an old Fifeshire fishing song called Hi Cathru, or Up with the Carls and Dies Out. Oh, rattlin', roarin' Willie, oh, he had ta'er a fair for to sell his fiddle and buy some other wear, but pertin' we his fiddle the saltier blunt as he. Oh, rattlin', roarin' Willie, you're welcome hame to me. Oh, Willie, come sell your fiddle so fine. Willie, come sell your fiddle and buy a pint of wine. If I was to sell my fiddle, the world would think I was mad. For money's a rant and day, my fiddle and I he had, as I can buy Crochal and a Connolly kick it then. A rattlin' roarin' Willie was sitting at yon burden among good company. Oh, rattlin' roarin' Willie, you're welcome hame to me. Oh, Willie, come sell your fiddle so fine. Willie, come sell your fiddle and buy a pint of wine. If I was to sell my fiddle, the world would think I was mad. For money's a rantin' day, my fiddle and I he had. Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. I get up to dance to our power Paladin at his daddy's yet, who met me but Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. Was not Robin bold, though he was a cotter, played beside Catarac, and me the elder's doctor, Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. Robin promised me, oh, his winter victual, faith they had but 3 goose feathers and a whittle. Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. Robin Shurin Hurst, I sure we him fint a hucadai, yet I stuck by him. Up with the curls a dies, a tan a lots of Buckhaven, and the kimmers a largo, and the lassies a leavin'. Hike through, for we hey muckle a do. Hike through, for we hey muckle a do. We hae tales to tell, and we hae songs to sing, we hae pennies to spend, and we hae pints to bring. Hike through, for we hae muckle a do. Hike through, for we hae muckle a do. We'll live our lives, and them that come ahen, let them do the like and spend the gear they win. Hike through, for we hae muckle a do. Hike through, for we hae muckle a do. Up with the carls a dies, a tan a lots of Buckhaven, and the kimmers a largo, and the lassies a leavin'. Hike through, for we hae muckle a do. 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 There you go. We set Burn songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. Well,
are you doing another set? Or are you...
No, I think
okay.
I think they've had enough of us. That's okay. I'll all come and sit down though.
Go and sit down. Well, it is 1:15, I suppose.
Yep. So what we'll probably do is we'll maybe just play a set together just to finish.
Well, we better do what's in the box and fit the whiskey.
I've got to get all these the kind of weekly favourites.
Yes.
So for a start,
what's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
the box. Nobody was right.
No.
That eye just pleases me no end for a fox update. Burns themed, so I'm telling you for this is. The closest one we got was when they said something about cardboard, but for this is, now this has been wrapped up for quite a while. The rubber band that was wrapping it up fell to bits when I took a book out, but this is a small book of Burns poetry, and I think it is just poems, but it was my granny's, but I think she got it for somebody else, so this maybe goes quite far back, but it's a lovely thing. It's kind of very delicate, but it's got, look, there's Tom Shona, there's Tom looking in the kirk, so it's got all these illustrations all the way through. Lovely. And that, it's not just the fact it was my granny's and it's been in the family for a long time, but what I like about that kind of tells a tale in that it's a kind of thing that when Scots immigrated, they took with them all over the world, actually. Bibles in the works of Robert Burns, and that's a common thing that was carried with folk, and because his work is just so, it just is Scotland. I mean, he's one of the most influential poets and most celebrated. There's no poet in the world that's celebrated as much, which says probably a lot about how many Scots have immigrated and gone all over the world and made careers and lived in countries. The only country in the world, folks, that doesn't have a Burns supper is North Korea, which surprise. I'm not really in a hurry to go, but I did think, wouldn't that be great if kind of that particular national border was breached by the works of Burns, and he thought, this is really good, this actually, we should have a Burns supper. And the spirit of kind of brotherhood brought everybody together. But anyway, Burns, very influential. There's only statues of Queen Victoria and those of a religious nature, as in Jesus or Mary Magdalene, that kind of thing. They're the only statues that there's more of in the world than Robert Burns, which is amazing. We've got a cracking in Aberdeen, there's quite a lot in Scotland, but Central Park, there is a statue of Robert Burns in Vancouver, and I ken places in Canada, New Zealand and Australia have. So yeah, he's celebrated because he's just bloody excellent. So there you go. But that wee book, I thought, I'm sorry you didn't get it right, but that's what that is. It's an old family wee book that's designed to be carried with you anywhere you go, in your pooch, in your pocket.
So I was going to say also, your granny had a copy of the Merry Muses. The only two people, that, if you don't know, the Merry Muses, as well as collecting a lot of songs and writing poems and songs, Robert Burns also had a wee side venture in really rude and dirty songs and poems. And they're brilliant, they're really, really funny. If you're easily offended, I wouldn't read them. So I remember...
I wouldn't say that a side venture, he just...
No, not, you know what
folks' taste and habits were a wee bit bawdier at that time.
Yeah.
The Victorians made up the
uptight.
There's no question about that, like, but...
But the only two people that I know that ever had a copy of the Merry Muses was your granny and my wee granny Donaldson. And my wee granny Donaldson had it wrapped up in a brown paper bag at the back of the bureau. We didn't know she had it.
It's not for children.
It's not for children. But
I could get a bit of one, but I'd probably... My mother would be scandalised.
This is my Burns Bible, the Canongate Burns, and the Merry Muses are at the back of this. If you're interested, it's a great.
I will say they're not in there.
No, they're not all in there.
Some of them are a wee.
Some of them are
a wee bit rough.
Are you wanting to do a long sign and then do the deal?
I was going to say the whiskey very quickly. Tell you for that is it's Glen Cadam, which is for Brecon.
You should have gotten that. You're close enough.
Yeah, well, he's the closest probably. With the folk that's watching, he'd be the closest. But Glen Cadam, it's actually really nice, and I've never had it before.
I got it in Strathans and a bind.
Because I'm basically we're in full lockdown again. I'm shielding, so I avoid going into the shops, or Shona will let me go into the shops, but that's fine. So I left it in her hands, and she came out with it, and I'm looking. Gosh, I'd die and think I've ever tried it before, but it's very nice. I even watched, it was a German man who did a test on it, and it's a regular thing he does, and he certainly can't do stuff, but I found it quite amusing. And he was nosing it up, and it's floral notes. Num, num, num. Oh, tropical fruit. I was like, oh, that sounds like bacon to me. Like, but one thing he said, for the cost of the whiskey compared to the quality, the experience of drinking it and the smell, he said it's the best valued whiskies he could think of for a single malt.
We'll wait and see what Gordon Muir thinks. That's what he does. Gordon might say it's rubbish.
Well, Gordon, if you were going to say that, I'm going to argue with you because I've enjoyed every drop.
Every movie. So let's finish up with a song together. Since it's Burns Night, and not probably, it is his most famous song.
Although it's what he didn't. I mean, it was an old song. Finn Burns added verses to it. Yeah. He would have described it. He improved if it existed and added verses, but. At Robert Burns' time, and he was born in 1759 and died in 1796. At that time, it was considered an old song.
So we're going to do Auld Lang Syne, and then we'll do The Deals of All with Excitement. Is that right?
But we'll say cheerio before.
We'll say cheerio before that anyway. But if you want, you can put your hands up. I'm just going to do the normal version. There is an old tune that goes to it, but just for ease so everybody can sing along, I'll do the version that everybody knows. Or if you want to put little hand emojis so we're all holding hands, that would be nice.
We're doing this virtually.
Virtually holding hands. You playing it? Starting now. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never thereafter everybody's hands. Oh, you're going to make my great, honestly. It's quite emotional, that.
Gord Calder has messed so far, he's trumped Abdi.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's our Burns Night nearly over. Just got one more tune. If you have enjoyed it and you feel like bunging something into the tip jar, it's www.paypal.me/Paul Anderson Shona Dawn, if you do fancy it.
Cheers, folks.
But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on our special Burns Night. We'll be back next week for number 46.
Aye, so we're finished, but we'll be back.
We'll be back.
It's a bit like the Aberdeen motto is bon accord, but there's a name, and I think happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again. So we'll happy to meet you again next week.
Yeah, 8 o'clock, the usual time, live for the lounge. How a cramar.
Aye, so take care, keep your heads down, because actually I've heard of a couple of folk I ken that are very close to folk that's died of COVID this week. Lots of folk have got it. It's definitely serious. Don't listen to the folk that say it's just the flu and there's nothing to worry about. It's definitely something to take care of. So we want you to be here at the other end so we can see you in
fully. In fact, I think we should have a proper Live for the Lounge concert in the McRobert Hall in Tarland once this is over, and you can all come and maybe I might not manage from Japan, and I don't know. She might. She can come if she likes. Abdi's welcome.
Can hear the spare room.
So let's finish off then.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to finish with the deals of all the exciseman because he might come and take my whiskey all off, which I really want. So anyway,
the deals of all the exciseman.
Right, thanks folks, nice to see you, take care and we'll see you next week. All the best.
Cheerio.
Okay.